All right, Mark, thanks.
61.
If you listen to James Carville, they should separate themselves. Kamala Harris should separate herself right away from Joe Biden. And someone's got to tell Joe Biden the truth at one point. You're too old, number one. You can't run for re-election, number two. You're not popular, number three. And number four, Harris is better off without you. So I don't know why people don't level with him.
That's the only way she can win.
He talked twice as long as she did, kissed her on top of the head as if she's the junior partner. I think it looked terrible over the weekend. So one of the things that Carville says, display a clear growth mindset and be growth mindset and separate yourself from the administration when you can. That'll be interesting.
I mean, I just agree with his strategy. The only way Kamala Harris has a real shot, because I've been saying this the entire time, the high is only going to last so long. People live in terrible circumstances right now when it comes to the economy, the border, and the way that crime is impacting them. If she doesn't go out there and reject what's happening in the administration, we don't need her to just feel the pain. We need a plan that's going to reverse everything that's going on right now.
And so that is why today in New Hampshire, apparently she's going to, even though she is essentially, if she wins, she'll be the Biden 2.0 administration.
Obama 3.0.
It has been said. That's good. But here's the thing. So what she really needs to do, and James Carville has kind of alluded to this as well, is you got to turn the page. How do you turn the page? She's going to say, well, I was vice president, but at the same time, look at my new economic plan, where she's got this new $50,000 credit if you start a small business and some other stuff. It's just to sweeten the pot to get people to take a look at her and to try to differentiate herself from Joe Biden.
Donald Trump has to just continue to remind the voter of what she stands for. I don't think it's about separating herself from Biden.
What does she stand for?
She stands for decriminalization of illegal immigrants. She stands for taking away your insurance. She stands for Medicare for all. We all know she hates fracking. She's always been anti-fracking until she just flip-flopped. She wants everyone to drive an EV. She wants to raise taxes when it comes to your groceries. All of these high prices are under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. That's what she stands for. There's no separating herself from Joe Biden, because we've heard her as she ran for president 4 years ago, as a senator, how she voted, where she really stands on these issues.
Yeah, where does she stand now? Well, this week, the Harris-Walz campaign showing what their true colors when it comes to their leadership styles. And take a look at some of these examples.
First, Vice President Harris skipping a ceremony at Arlington Cemetery to honor those 13 heroes that were killed during the disastrous withdrawal under her watch from Afghanistan, while ripping Trump's visit with their families as a political stunt because the families wanted to take a picture with President Trump.
That's exactly right. And meanwhile, over the weekend, as America learned about Hamas' brutal murders of the 6 hostages, including an American, Governor Walz walked away from eating his ice cream when asked about it.
What's your reaction to the 6 hostages being found dead in Gaza?
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Unbelievable.
And Harris appearing to take the cue, ignoring reporters, this time while wearing headphones, boarding Air Force Two, pretending to be on a phone call. So you got to wonder where your standards are. Do you just want to make sure Donald Trump's not elected? Or do you think it's okay that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance do 34 interviews and they do combined 1? Do you think it's okay that they never come out and talk to you, lay out policies? Do you think it's okay that they never even put it on their website what they stand for, let alone so they don't have to defend anything? They just want to run as king and queen until November, and then they will show you what they're going to do. There's no other conclusion you can make.
Well, and I just got to say, the insulation when it comes to the media and what took place with the 13 soldiers that were lost under Joe Biden's watch, because this could have been avoided. They invited Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to be there at the cemetery as well, and they chose not to be there. Not to mention, many of them, the family members said they haven't gotten a phone call from the administration.
They haven't received return calls.
Exactly, and you got to remember, the last time they saw Joe Biden was when the dignitary transfer, and he was looking at his watch the whole time. So to go out there and make a big deal about Donald Trump being there at the request of the family and Joe Biden not even showing up, I just think it's disgraceful.
Well, ultimately, what they're trying to do is they are trying to keep her and Mr. Walz on message. And the things that knock them off message are when they answer questions from reporters and stuff like that, and they say the wrong thing because they don't know exactly where they stand right now because everything, their policy before no longer applies because it's kind of quicksand. Oh, it used to be that, and now it's something completely different. And so that is why, we got an interview last week, which was, and Trump referred to it as boring, and I'm sure the Harris people loved that because she didn't make any headlines for saying anything particularly wrong. Going forward, you've got that debate on September 10th. That could be the only time we ever see them together. That will be the first time Donald Trump and Kamala Harris have ever met face to face because he didn't go to the inauguration.
That'll be interesting.
So it will be, that's going to be everything that we base a lot of the trajectory of the rest of the race on over the next 61 days is how were they together at that? And that's why they're not going to, nobody's going to knock them off message. Nobody is going to be able to get a question in.
Unless they're trailing it. If you look at 538, and they just talk about percentages of winning. In Pennsylvania, they're up significantly. In Georgia, Arizona, North Carolina, Nevada. The only place to where, percentage-wise, they're up are Michigan and Wisconsin. If that is correct, and Donald Trump in the last two elections has polled badly compared to his final totals, that will force them to change tactics. Well, if they are leading with this tactic, they will not break the glass.
Exactly.
I just think that the voters should keep in mind, and producers can correct me if I get this wrong, but I think early voting starts in North Carolina. I'm doing it down there Friday. She had an opportunity to talk to the voters before early voting. Fox News said we would do a debate. Donald Trump agreed to the debate. She decided that she was not going to do the debate. She wants to talk. Voters had an opportunity to hear from both candidates before this happened, to have a spirited debate by two professional anchors, the #1 station for independents, Republicans, and Democrats. And she chose not to come talk to them. And I think that tells you a lot when you go to the voting booth. She's avoided interviews. She's done one interview, no press conferences or anything like that, to hear where she stands on the policy.
Doesn't this tell you who is stronger? Donald Trump agreed to every debate. I want to do them all. He agreed to the ABC debate. He agreed to the Fox News debate. She said no.
With their
She
rules.
went on CNN and says no over and over and over to Fox News. And that's what J.D. Vance was talking about. If we could get that soundbite ready. J.D. Vance was talking about who is going to be the strongest leader when they come face-to-face with Vladimir Putin, when they come face-to-face with Xi or Kim Jong-un. And it's not going to be Kamala. She does these word salads. She's scared to have interviews and then if she does do an interview, she has to have her vice president there. I'm sure she's petrified to have this debate because she has it in her head that people criticize her about the word salads. But listen to what J.D. Vance says.
The reason these people lost their lives is because Kamala Harris's foreign policy has led to chaos, whereas President Trump's foreign policy led to peace and stability. I actually think this is one of the most important selling points for President Trump's agenda is when you project American strength and when you engage in smart diplomacy, you can keep the world from blowing up. Kamala Harris has us on the brink of World War III. The innocent people who died in Gaza are just the tip of the iceberg if we give this person more power. How can we possibly expect her to sit in a room with Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping or the leaders of the world? She's terrified to sit for a friendly interview, Laura. We cannot trust this person to negotiate on behalf of this country, and she will blunder us into a third world war if the American people will give her promotion.
So instead of the debate tonight, Donald Trump's going to have a town hall with Sean Hannity, and she said no to our debate tonight.
So it's a binary choice. You've got one team on message and on TV and answering questions all the time. You've got another team trying to stay on message, but the message keeps changing. That's avoiding the press.
Can I just say one more thing?
Is just doing
one more thing. Since she has decided not to go out there to explain these new policy positions, you have to go with the default, which is what she said on record. You cannot take campaign surrogates and what they've said through press releases. She hasn't had anything
until we hear it come out of her mouth.
Until you hear it come out of her mouth. It's not even on her website. She doesn't even have the courtesy to update the website. So if you want to be just an average day voter and compare what's on Donald Trump's website, what's on Kamala, she hasn't even done that. So take her at her default position.
Maybe she doesn't know the password, that double verification. It goes to the wrong phone. We'll see.
Things.
Meanwhile, maybe she just get someone to take care of that website for her.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.